For thousands of people in our area tonight, home is an airport lounge. All three major airports are closed tonight, and they're expected to stay closed until noon tomorrow. Hundreds are stranded at Newark Airport. Each airline is responsible for handling its own passengers, but hotel rooms are for the lucky few, and finding a cab or a limo into town is close to impossible tonight. At LaGuardia, the scene is the same. Snowplows are the only things moving on the runways. The number of people stranded at LaGuardia is estimated at about 100. And each airline is responsible for handling its own stranded passengers, so if you're trying to find out about someone who is flying today, call their carrier. And finally, it's Kennedy Airport, which has the most stranded passengers. An estimated 2,000 people are spending the night there.
The whole situation is bombed out. And like all of these people here from different countries, and they just want to go home like me.
And once again, if you have questions about a particular passenger, you should call their airline.
All right, they called it a standstill up in Westchester today. Everything came to a screeching halt up there. John Slattery is in New Rochelle for us right now. John, things beginning to move a little bit up there. What's going on?
Yeah, things are getting a whole lot better here, Ernie. We've moved to a different spot from where we were earlier. We were looking at Interstate 95, which was moving most of the day. Speeds were greatly reduced and traffic was down to one lane, but that's one highway that seemed to be moving. This is Boston Post Road, US 1 in New Rochelle, and traffic is vastly reduced here tonight. A lot of people have done what they were asked to do, and that's stay home. Cars that have come out are finding it within the last hour or so to becoming much better than it was. It's passable. Cars are moving almost at the speed limit, and traffic is actually picking up a little bit. All of this because of the work of the snowplows. Tonight, with the first blast of the storm over by just a couple of hours, people were already well engaged in the cleanup in the dig out. Anyone who had a plow on the front of a truck was out making a few bucks, trying to put the storm behind them, while others continued to struggle. A common sight tonight, spinning wheels, unable to move this vehicle despite the help from some friends. A tractor trailer broken down in the middle of the Boston Post Road wasn't much of a hindrance to traffic tonight because traffic was so light, with most people doing as they'd been asked, staying off the roads. Earlier today, many of those who did hit the roads did so with sleds or with cross-country skis, out for some exercise or to pick up some essentials at a supermarket.
We're collecting some groceries, anticipating that we might be inside for a couple of days.
Firemen in New Rochelle had to contend with a tanker truck full of fuel oil that slipped off a road. But after a December storm, they said they were well prepared and well staffed for today's blast from nature.
We learned a good lesson, a valuable lesson in December with the last northeaster that came through.
So the conditions that we have out on the road tonight, many of the main streets are passable, but side streets like one behind me off over in front of this building, which you can't quite see very clearly, are passable. And the reason for that is as the snow plows come along and push up, you know what, you've got a foot of snow there, and as they gather it up and push it up, there's as much as 3 feet of snow that'll be up along a side street. We've seen a number of cars try to move into these side streets, getting caught to the point where they literally were digging out with snow shovels and then just backing out and not even trying it. So some of the major streets are okay. Side streets, don't even try them.
Yeah.
And we don't belong out here anyway.
They're working on it. John, as far as abandoned cars go, a lot of areas had some difficulty today, but not that much of a problem up there, you're telling us.
No, there are a good deal of abandoned cars, some of which I saw myself, and many of those were on highways, and it appears that what caused that were they were just skidding off the road with icy conditions that we had earlier. So these people, you know, for them it can be really dangerous. This is not the kind of weather today that you wanted to be stranded in.
John, are people up there worried that there's more to come tonight?
No, it looks as though, and you know, you really can't tell by the way things feel. It feels as though it's getting better. People do seem to be coming out now, even though, you know, it's as late as it is. People do seem to be coming out and trying to get ahead of the snow by plowing and shoveling a little bit, and that if we're in for more, we'll have to wait and see.
Okay, John, thank you very much. We're going to move now out to Long Island, to Bayville on Long Island, where Troy Roberts is standing by. Troy, what are they expecting there after midnight?
Well, Michelle, I don't have encouraging news to report here. Village officials got a look at low tide at 9:45, and what they are saying is that the tide was running 5.5 feet above normal at low tide. With that information, they are able to calculate that at high tide at 3:45 tomorrow morning, the tide will be running about 13 feet above normal. Now remember, during the December nor'easter, the tide was running 11 feet above normal, and this entire area where I'm standing here right now was completely flooded then. The surf at low tide appeared to be pretty peaceful. If we can go to tape, I think I have some tape we can show you. Water was no longer rushing up to the beachfront homes and businesses, but strong winds are still slamming into this coastal village. Gusts up to 60 miles per hour ripped down awnings and smacked residences and tore down power lines. High water flooded several roads and basements and low-lying areas. A dozen village residents were forced to evacuate. The high sustained winds knocked out power late this afternoon to 42,000 local customers, but over the past couple of hours, utility crews have managed to restore power to half of those homes. Of course, like everyone else along the eastern seaboard, the big challenge is trying to dig out from under all of this snow, but again, the big concern is high tide at 3:45 tomorrow morning. Officials are predicting that the tide will run about 13 feet above normal. During the December nor'easter, it was just 11 feet, and this entire area was flooded. Many people were forced to evacuate. So far, only a dozen people have been evacuated from their homes. It's not a mandatory evacuation order at this point, but the space is available if they need to get to a shelter. That's it from Bayville. I'm Troy Roberts reporting live. Let's go back to the studio.
Okay, thank you, Troy. Troy just mentioned 32,000 customers without power. Let's talk right now to Andrea Staub of Lilco. Andrea, is that figure correct?
Actually, the figure has dropped a little bit. We've got about 21,400 customers right now without power.
That's an improvement. Tell us about the hardest hit areas.
Well, right now, the hardest hit areas is in western Suffolk. We've got about 12,500 customers without service in that area at this point. But we're expecting those numbers to change significantly as the weather changes. If those winds do pick up and the rain and the snow continue, those numbers are going to change, and we are anticipating that we're going to have additional outages.
It is difficult getting work crews out in this weather, isn't it, Andrea?
Absolutely. We had over 400 crews working throughout the day-to-day restoring service. We were able to restore service to over 83,000 customers. We've had over 105,000 customers affected since the storm began early this morning.
Yeah, another problem area, down power lines can be very dangerous, and I know you warn people to really stay away from those lines.
Absolutely, Ernie. Never touch or go near any fallen wires, even though you may think they're not energized. They may indeed be energized. And in addition, if the snow does start up and continue throughout the day tomorrow, the snow can conceal any down wires. So we need our customers to be very careful and call us if in the event they do see anything that's down.
Thank you. Andrea Staub at Lilco, thanks for that update. Michelle.
We're going to take a look now at power problems in New Jersey. Live on the phone, we have Ron Morano at Jersey Central Power and Light. Good evening, Ron.
Good evening, Michelle.
I know a lot of your customers are in New Jersey coastal areas. How bad is the situation there?
We have approximately 34,000 customers out of service. Of that number, approximately 30,000 of them are in the Ocean and Monmouth County areas.
What about people in the rural areas like Sussex County? Those are your customers as well.
In the northern area, we have approximately 4,000 customers out of service. The snow has not presented a problem to us to this point.
All right. When do you think help can be on the way for a lot of these people?
Earlier today, we made a decision to respond to only emergency restoration efforts. We are going to be mobilizing our troops in the morning, reassessing the situation, and getting our crews out to the areas that have particularly bad outages. We have approximately 260 crews standing by to go into the areas tomorrow.
And how concerned are you, Ron, about future problems tonight?
We are watching the weather as you are, Michelle, keeping our eye on the forecast of the gusting winds. The winds can present problems because they can blow tree limbs and trees onto power lines and cause outages for us.
All right, Ron Morano, thank you.
Thank you.
They'll be talking about this one for a long time. This is the blizzard of '93, and there's still a lot of punch left of this storm. Strong winds expected, coastal flooding. We're going to check in with Frank Field and Craig Allen in the Weather Center when we come right back. Stay with us.